to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Coca-Cola, available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Brand Source Home Gallery, inspiring luxury. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. West Bay Pharmacy, taking care of your health. And RF Group, money at work.
This is For the Record with Ort Connor.
Coming to you live from Radio Cayman Studio.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Hear from your government officials, independents, and the opposition on issues that matter to you. For the record. Engage in an open dialogue between residents and lawmakers.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is your talk show.
1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Ort Connor.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. O land of soft, fresh breezes and verdant trees so fair. Today is January the 19th, 2021. Susan, we're having some problems in and out. Are you here? Okay, there we go. Good morning, O land of salt. Good morning. Today is Wednesday, the 19th day of January 2021, right here in the Cayman Islands. I hope and I trust that everyone had a restful, peaceful, enjoyable evening. Those of you who are on the roads of the Cayman Islands, we again urge you to please be extremely cautious. Whether you're a pedestrian, a cyclist, or operating any type of motorized vehicle on the roads, remember that by observing the rules of the road, the life you save may be your own. If you're celebrating a birthday today, we want to wish you a happy birthday, or if you've celebrated one over the past few days, belated happy birthday to you as well. Those of you who've lost loved ones, again, we want to extend our sincere condolences to you. We hope and we trust that your faith will help to carry you through these extremely challenging times, and that the memories of your loved ones will be a blessing as well. For those of you who are ill and are either at a medical facility or at home, we wish you a speedy recovery as well. Speaking of birthdays, special birthday greetings are going out to a wonderful mother and grandmother, Miss Pamela Jackson Watler. They have given me her age as well, but I'll reserve that. But celebrating a birthday today, and birthday greetings are coming from her loving family and children, Joseph and Sheila, and her grandchildren, Seth and Sage. So happy birthday to Miss Pam Jackson Watler, and hope she enjoys her very special day today. So folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman, and by extension For the Record, into your homes, into your vehicles, as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, wherever that may be. As you know, For the Record is a show produced by the staff and management of Radio Cayman, and it is geared towards keeping you abreast of issues as they arise and play out on the local, regional, and international scene. I am your host, Ort Connor, and you're welcome to join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 a.m. until 10 a.m. During that period, our phone lines are open. You can call us on our toll-free number provided courtesy of Flow. That toll-free number, 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037 and 949-6990. Email us at fortherecord, one word, fortherecord at candw.ky. WhatsApp us 925-3261, where you can send us a text message or leave us a voice note, the contents of which will be played during the course of the show. And of course, you can simply follow us by subscribing to Radio Cayman live stream. This morning we have some very, very important guests in our studio. So before I introduce them, I'm going to lay some ground rules for the show this morning, because we have very important topics to cover. If you have any questions for our guests, we're going to ask you to please send them to us. I gave you the email address before. That's for the record, one word, for the record, at candw.ky, or you can use our WhatsApp 925-3261 if you have any questions or comments. If you have comments, please don't make them long-winded, because I will be unable to read everything to our guests. So try to be as brief and succinct as possible with your comments or with your questions as well. If you have a question, don't make a statement first and then pose a question, because we simply won't have enough time to do all of that in a 2.5-hour radio talk show as well. So it is my pleasure to have in the studio with me this morning, first and foremost, Minister of Health and Wellness, Miss Sabrina Turner.
Good morning.
Good morning, Minister.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. Welcome back to For the Record as well.
Pleasure.
Also in the studio with us, we have this Chief Medical Officer, Interim, Dr. Autilia Newton. Dr. Newton, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning to everybody. Good morning, Orit, and Happy New Year.
And no stranger also to Radio Cayman and to For the Record, and to the people of the Cayman Islands, Chief Nursing Officer, Dr. Hazel Brown. Dr. Brown, good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. Happy New Year to you.
Good morning, OC, and good morning, everybody. Happy New Year to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, Minister Turner, over to you. We've seen COVID-19 continuing. The Omicron variant seems to be the dominant variant in the Cayman Islands as well. We continue here in the Cayman Islands, like all other jurisdictions, to do as best as we can with it, and want to commend the government for all of the measures that they have taken, to their quick reaction to situations. And I know you're here this morning also to update the public as to what's happening, because sometimes things are moving and changing as we speak. So I'm going to throw the mic over to you, Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Connor, and perfect time. I think you can actually have an entire show surrounding COVID, vaccines, boosters, because it is on the tips of everybody's conversations, and where the government is concerned, and definitely the Ministry of Health and Wellness, Health Services, Public Health, is definitely at the forefront. We get a lot of comments. We doubly get criticized. But as there was no playbook, or there is no playbook for dealing with this virus, we have still managed to put our heads together, trust the science and the experts that have been given to us and that we engage with, and we look regionally and internationally to make sure that we don't repeat or find ourselves in some positions that other jurisdictions are in. But bringing it back to home, we are in the process, just a couple of days ago, our COVID regulations were extended. That was to give us some additional time to gather information as to how we look at the introduction of our next phase, which is phase 5. Mm-hmm. Now, we did state from the onset, when pressure was put on this government to give us a reopening plan, give the nation a reopening plan. We stepped up to that challenge, and that was what we did, with changes being made, and the intervals between each phase was approximately 5 weeks. And we did state that the plan that was proposed nationally was not anything in stone. It was flexible. We would assess what's going on nationally. We would assess what our positivity rates were like, and the people that are ill and in admissions to hospital, that will determine how quickly we move to the next phase. We are currently still in phase 4. We are discussing and confirming the moving into phase 5, and more details in that regard will come later on this week, maybe as early as tomorrow. But the whole purpose of being on the show this morning is to be here with Public Health, which I will allow Dr. Newton and Dr. Hazel Brown to go more into detail as the importance of adhering to protocols and public health regulations. People are frustrated. They are tired of hearing about lockdown mandates. They're feeling that we're knee-jerking in some occasions, in some situation. And then just outright, Mr. Connor, we have people that are boasting that they are testing on these LFTs positive, and they're not going to report. It could be for more than one reason, because their employers are not going to pay them. They don't want to isolate. The thought of having to isolate again, probably they were previously positive with Delta and now is a breakthrough and have to go through it all again. But you can't expect the government to put regulations in place and we don't all do our part to adhere to the protocols. We cannot reduce the spread, still allow movement, and you don't adhere to the protocols. So this morning, we know that there's approximately, we were discussing public health has executive powers under the regulations that they can implement regulations and as it pertains to quarantine and lessening the amount, and in being able to allow persons to move about freely. Children go back to school, health services, which Dr. Brown will go into more detail in that regard, is having a drive-through testing this morning at the Truman Bodden Sports Complex that will aid positively to persons who have found themselves in isolation to be released today. We're looking at approximately 1,800 households or persons that would be positively affected that could get released somewhat early. But this would only affect those persons who have been in quarantine or isolation. And we're talking about community transmission, not the travelers. So this drive this morning that's taking place today and tomorrow is to deal with community transmission, community spread, not travelers. So that they can get released. And these are affected directly for persons who have been in quarantine isolation for no less than 7 days. So if you got a positive PCR test, or let's say you got an LFT testing at home yesterday, but you confirmed it with a PCR at Public Health, the day you get that result is your day 0. So you would then go to tomorrow would be your day 1. So 7 days, then you would be able to get an exiting test that will allow you to move freely into the community. But this approach this morning will positively impact almost 1,800 persons that find themselves right now as public health risks that were actually in lockdown. So Dr. Brown will actually go in more detail with that. There are other parts of it that I'll share, but this is a roundtable discussion, and I'll give my bits as we go through the show this morning.
Okay, we're going to take a commercial break. When we return, then we'll have Dr. Brown tell us, about the new testing regime. Also, I want to remind our listeners and viewers that the Premier, the Honorable Wayne Panton, will be joining us during the course of the show as well, probably after the 8 o'clock news or maybe even earlier as well. So, folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. The Cayman Islands, He hath founded it upon the seas.
Thomas Abraham Ebanks, 1882-1964. Mr. Abram is regarded as one of the patriarchs of West Bay. He started life as a seaman and was miraculously saved during a storm that hit the Cayman Islands. Later in his seafaring career, he captained a mail boat which plied between Fort Myers and Okeechobee, Florida. Mr. Abraham also pioneered the captive rearing of green turtles in Newtown or Governor's Sound. Later in life, he started a small store. To augment his income, he became the collector of taxes in West Bay. When the government discontinued the discharge of cargo at West Bay, Mr. Abraham was made the assistant warehouse keeper in Georgetown. His greatest contribution to the district was as an elder of the West Bay Presbyterian Church. Over the years, he influenced many young people to follow the straight path by his sermonettes and by his own example.
Radio Cayman's Historical Vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
Since 1993, Rotary Central has worked diligently each year to provide quality bus shelters to our community. A traveling convenience to our school children, the elderly, young people going to work, guest workers, and visitors using the public bus. We, Rotary Central, help you, our advertisers, make it happen. Your marketing dollar travels a far way. Positioning your message, your product, your services, your presence in over 83 bus shelters. Every dollar you spend, every advert you place helps to build another bus shelter, providing modest comfort for Cayman travelers. Reserve space now on the only billboard medium in the Cayman Islands. Email rotaryshelters@gmail.com. rotaryshelters@gmail.com. The Bus Shelters, a partner in community convenience. Another inspiration program by Rotary Central Cayman Islands.
Make your house into a home. Welcome to Brand Source Home Gallery, your source for premium products and a premium experience. We'll design and install your dream kitchen with crafted cabinets, complemented with elegant appliances. We'll fill it with quality houseware and cookware. Custom-designed closet and storage solutions organize and beautify any area. And with the finest bedding, you'll get a perfect night's sleep knowing Brand Source Home Gallery has everything you need to make your house a home.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
Since March 2004, West Bay Pharmacy has kept their doors open to the local communities, even before, during, and after Hurricane Ivan. At West Bay Pharmacy, our staff provides so much more than pharmaceutical excellence. From the moment you walk through our doors to completing your cash out, our staff will have put your healthcare concerns at ease. We would like to take this moment to thank our loyal friends and customers. To us at West Bay Pharmacy, our patients are our primary concern. We provide thorough background checks and precise calculations to ensure your medical safety. Thank you for being a part of our family and for choosing West Bay Pharmacy, where we care about your health.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Ort Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. And one of my listeners has corrected me to point out that we're in 2022, not 2021, like I said earlier. Although we may feel like we're still in 2021 as well. But again, I want to remind you who's in the studio at this point in time. We have the Honorable Sabrina Turner, Minister for Health and Wellness. We have Dr. Autilia Newton, who is the Chief Medical Officer, Interim, and we have Dr. Hazel Brown in the studio with us. So I'm going to throw the mic over to Dr. Hazel Brown now to talk about things that are actually taking place today, because I'm sure that many in our audience are certainly interested in what's taking taking place as far as testing is concerned?
Good morning, everyone. This morning we're having a big event. I'm sure everybody is heartened by the new regulations. Like the Minister of Health said, this is a very fluid situation, so we're going to enjoy these regulations while they're working for us and prepared to flex should they have to change. But in order to comply with the regulations, we have to have a mass testing to release anyone who is currently in isolation or quarantine who would be benefited by the reduced isolation. And so this morning, we've thrown mass resources at a drive-through PCR testing event at the Truman Bodden Sports Complex. It's actually in the parking lot near the boxing gym. And there are some tents there. Anyone who comes in, we're asking people to enter on, I think it's called Olympus Way or Olympic Way, something, the one out by the Burger King coming off of Walker's Road, because we don't want to affect the school traffic. And as far as possible, if you could drive towards the Windsor Park exits and Agape exits. And anyone who has been in quarantine or isolation prior to the 11th of January has been included in this, and we're expecting you to show up. So if you haven't heard from us, take heart. Public Health has not been able to reach everyone, so which is why we use the PSAs. So anyone who's been in quarantine or isolation prior to the 11th, and there are some who actually were isolated on the 11th who may still be eligible for this, but at this point in time, we haven't counted them. You won't be turned away, but yeah, we haven't counted them in the expected close to 1,500 persons to be tested. Now, in addition to that, our exit testing continues in the district health centers, in the Bodden Town Civic Center, not district health centers, the civic centers, Bodden Town Civic Center, on the Ed Bush Playfield, and at the South Sound Community Center. And everybody who's been following the media recently knows the traffic issues that we're having at the South Sound Community Center. So we would like to encourage people to use the Truman Bodden site for today to try to ease the traffic in South Sound, and also to use the district health centers if you're living in those areas. If you're not living in the eastern districts, please don't go to Bodden Town. Use the Truman Bodden, and if you're living in West Bay, use the Ed Bush. This does not apply to those persons who have tested positive on lateral flow in the last 24 hours.
Okay.
This is for people who have been isolated, who are potentially now negative. The people who are lateral flow positive, we know are positive. If you attend that clinic in the afternoons, you are exposing yourself. So try to, if you're in isolation and quarantine, go to one of the centers this morning.
Okay, I'm going to ask you to repeat that again, go over that again, for our audience.
Right now?
Yes,
Okay.
We still have about 4 minutes before we go to the 8 o'clock news.
Okay.
So I prefer to use it just to
reiterate.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, you want me to slow down? Is that what you're telling me?
No, you're right. The speed is fine. The speed is fine.
So, persons who have been isolated or quarantined prior to the 11th of January are now impacted by the new regulations. Some persons who were isolated or quarantined on the 11th are also eligible to, if you're fully vaccinated and you tested positive on the 11th, then today, you could go today as well. But everyone else prior to the 11th is eligible now for the exit testing. Truth is that it's a little bit more complex in that everyone who was vaccinated, who was fully vaccinated, who tested positive prior to the 11th is eligible for this. Everyone who is unvaccinated prior to the 8th right?
January.
Anyone who is unvaccinated and tested positive prior to the 8th of January is eligible. But we've just included everyone prior to the 10th just for simplicity. Because if you get a negative PCR, you're going to be released. And we're asking people to show up. It started an hour ago. I haven't had an update yet on how it's going. But it should be a fairly efficient process down there because we put a lot of extra resources that we could beg, borrow, or steal. And
that will continue for the duration of the day? Until what time? How long?
I don't know. But I can
Okay,
verify
we'll find that. We'll get that
before we
information,
leave.
yes.
I'm expecting that we're going to stay there until everybody's been done.
Yes.
But it's also going to be tomorrow morning.
Okay.
It's not only today. But today is when we expect the masses because everybody wants to come out.
If I may, between 7 and 8, it was based on surname A to D.
Oh, yes, that's
8
what
to
I was
9,
supposed to say.
surname E to K, 9 to 10, L to R, and 10 to 11, S to the letter Z. But what we don't want, should people be stuck in traffic because they're hearing about this right now, I'm quite sure they will not turn away anyone. People just need to go get tested once they fall under that criteria that Dr.
Thank you
Brown
so much.
has stated.
They actually reminded me of that this morning and I forgot
It's
it.
alphabetical.
We want to stick to the alphabet to prevent the crowds down there as far as it's possible because we have to understand that some persons coming there may still be infectious. So wear your mask. That's the other thing. Wear your mask. Bring your ID. And make sure you have your hand sanitizer. But come and get tested. It's going to go on. Like I said, these are the times that we've published. Can you read them again for me?
7 to 8 o'clock, which the first hour was supposed to cover surnames ending in A to D.
Starting A to D.
Starting in A to D, and 8 to 9, E to K, 9 to 10, L to R, 10 to 11, S to Z.
Okay.
So stick to that as far as you can. We will test you if you show up outside of those times. We're not going to turn you away, but it is going to affect the efficiency of the process. Tomorrow, we hope it will be an easier process. There should not be as many people, but we've thrown a lot of resources at it this morning to try to make it as quick and painless as possible. Now, we need to say that depending on the volume of tests that are done today, the reports, the results may be delayed somewhat.
Okay.
So we would love to have the mass of so we're moving samples in as we collect them. As soon as we get them, we'll bring them in, but they may not be resulted today.
Okay.
The results may be coming out tomorrow, and maybe some may be, depending on the quality of the samples and stuff, may come out actually the next day.
And then a point of clarity before we go to our news. So most of these persons, these individuals have already been contacted about the location today?
No, they weren't contacted directly.
Okay.
Because it was approved yesterday afternoon, and there's no way that we could make 1,500 calls. And I'm saying 1,500 is a conservative number, eh?
Yes. Okay,
I'm
folks.
told to remind people that they're there. It is a well-oiled machine. I'm getting some pictures. Right now it's quiet, but we're hoping that the word spreads, and we're telling people to go onto the HSA website and Facebook page and also share it with your friends. But this is an exercise that we aim to assist and get people out of quarantine and isolation,
back to work,
and back to work and back to school, because we don't want to hold people back anymore.
Excellent. Folks, top of the hour, 8 o'clock news. When we return, we will be joined by the Honorable Wayne Panton, Premier of the Cayman Islands, as well in the studio, Minister for Health and Wellness, Dr. Sabrina Turner.
No, not yet. Thank you.
Dr. Autilia Newton, Chief Medical Officer, Interim, and Dr. Hazel Brown. So please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back immediately after the 8 o'clock news.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. And studio time now is a minute after 8, and it's brought to you by Foster's.
New deals at Priced Right.
Keep your New Year's goals in check with ProForm push-up stands, just $12.99, save $4. Or if DIY is more your thing, we have the Little Giant Mega Light Ladder for $209.99, save $70.
And if you're feeling musical, we've got the Casio 61-key portable keyboard for $139.99, save $45. Cayman, it's time to live better for less at Priced Right.
Price is good until January 19th, 2022. Find more deals at pricedright.ky.
The voice of the Cayman Islands.
89.9 FM Grand Cayman and 93.9 FM in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman.
Silver wings shining in the sunlight.
Radio Cayman.
For today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
With your latest news, I'm Carsley Fuller. Less time in quarantine after you test positive. Government made the announcement late Tuesday night. Starting today, the new rules are that positives who are vaccinated will isolate for 6 days and become eligible for an exit PCR test on day 7. If you haven't gotten the jab but you test positive, you'll have to isolate for 9 days, becoming eligible for your exit PCR on day 10. COVID-positive persons and their unvaccinated household members currently in isolation or quarantine who are now eligible for early release can attend a special drive-through testing clinic at Truman Bond Sports Complex parking lot today. Times are based on your last name. From 7 to 8, it was surnames A through D. And now from 8 until 9, if your last name starts with E through K, you can go. Surnames L through R are from 9 a.m. to 10. And surnames S through Z will be from 10 until 11 today. Make sure to wear a face mask and bring a government photo ID showing your date of birth. The Cayman Islands Youth Development Consortium is launching Asset Day this Friday at the Old Government Administration Building. Organizers say the launch will include the update of the Supporting Cayman Youth Proclamation with government officials and other community leaders in attendance. Asset Day is aimed at bringing attention to the developmental assets needed to help young people succeed. And a refresher course this week helps Department of Environmental Health staff sharpen their skills. DEH Director Richard Sims.
This training is important to everyone to understand the roles and responsibility of each one, to understand what the roles of the lab, especially the things that they perform for us when it comes to food quality control, ambient air quality, indoor air quality, especially when places are infested with molds and so on. They're the ones behind the scenes doing all the quality work to ensure that those things are remedied.
Mr. Sims says the lab has another important aspect, the safety of public swimming pools.
Whenever the engineering officers go out, they collect samples. They're the ones behind the scenes processing all the stuff to ensure that public pools in particular are safe to swim in.
Something you may not have been aware of, DEH also checks the water at Cayman beaches to make sure they are safe as well. Audio there courtesy of CIG-TV. In regional news, the High Court Judge Justice Seeley Chase in Barbados is expected to hear later today an injunction filed by a member of the minority opposition Barbados Sovereignty Party seeking to stop today's general election. The application filed by Philip Caitlin contends that more than 5,000 COVID patients are being denied their constitutional right to vote. President Dame Sandra Mason and the Attorney General Dale Marshall are the respondents. Caitlin claims that the exclusion of the COVID-19 positive citizens from the election breaches Section 6 of the Representation of the People Act, which enshrines the right of eligible citizens to vote. He's also arguing that Dame Sandra, who was sworn in as president of Barbados last November, was unreasonably exercising her discretionary powers by accepting Prime Minister Mia Mottley's election call on December 27th. Now with a check of international news, here's the BBC, which will take us out of the newscast. I'm Carsley Fuller from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
BBC News with Moira Alderson. The US Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, has warned that Russia could send more troops to its border with Ukraine and launch an attack at very short notice. There are growing fears of a Russian invasion. Mr. Blinken, who's visiting the Ukrainian capital Kyiv, urged President Putin to choose a peaceful path. The US also confirmed an extra $200 million in defence aid for Ukraine. Britain's Prime Minister Boris Johnson is facing a perilous moment in his leadership as a plot by his own MPs to remove him gains momentum. He'll face more questions in Parliament shortly over allegations that parties at his residence broke COVID lockdown rules. A Belgian court has sentenced a Vietnamese man to 15 years in jail after ruling he was the ringleader in the trafficking of 39 migrants found dead in a lorry in the UK. Vo Van Hong was found guilty of having led a cross-channel people trafficking operation. The victims, all Vietnamese, were discovered in an English industrial estate in 2019. They had all died from suffocation and hypothermia. International telephone links have been restored to Tonga for the first time since interconnectivity was lost last Saturday as a result of a volcanic eruption and tsunami. Internet connectivity could take weeks to restore after an undersea cable was damaged. Ships carrying aid are expected to arrive by Friday. BBC News.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman for the latest in news and information.
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
Excuse me, I noticed you from afar.
Really? Me?
Well, not you. The KFC sandwich you're eating.
Oh, Zinger.
Sorry, I'm not trying to be funny.
No, it's called the Zinger Sandwich. Crunchy, juicy, 100% chicken breast, crisp lettuce, sweet mayo on a seeded bun with a little zing. KFC's chicken is not factory breaded, frozen and refried like the Burger Boys. Customize your KFC Zinger and dip it in barbecue sauce.
Wow, now I'm starting to notice you too.
KFC, it's finger licking good.
Now open on the sister island, Brack Medical Supplies. Located at 403 Gerard Smith Avenue, next to the Alexander Hotel. Open Tuesday to Saturday from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Telephone number 948-2228. Brack Medical Supplies.
The 8:10 a.m. Weather Report, Monday through Friday, is proudly sponsored by Pan American International Insurance Corporation. Pan American International Insurance Corporation, meeting the life, accident, and health insurance needs of individuals and businesses to ensure financial security and peace of mind. For more information, call 949-8304 or visit www.palig.com. That's PALIG.com.
Pan American Life Insurance Group can help you take your employee benefit solution to the next level. For more than 110 years, millions of people have trusted PALIG because we've always delivered on our promise. PALIG is the only insurer providing group policies to as few as 3 employees and has the ability to combine life, health, disability, and income protection to provide you and your employees with a complete employee benefits package. Let us customize your employee benefits solution today. Call us at 949-8304 or visit our office at Unit 221, Cannon Place East, North Sound Road, or visit us online at www.palig.com. Pan American Life. People you can trust for life.
Hey, pleasant good morning. Let's take a look at the very latest weather report. Synopsis indicate cloudy skies with afternoon showers expected over the Cayman area for the next 24 hours in association with remnants of a cold front drifting across the area. Satellite images show low-level clouds over the northwest Caribbean moving towards the southwest. Now the forecast for today calling for partly cloudy to cloudy skies with a 30% chance of afternoon showers, and temperatures will be in the low 80s. Winds will be east to northeast at 10 to 15 knots with higher gusts, and seas will be slight to moderate with wave heights of 2 to 4 feet. Pretty much the same for tonight, partly cloudy to cloudy skies with a 30% chance of showers and temperatures falling to the low 70s. Your winds will be east to northeast at 10 to 15 knots, and seas will be slight to moderate with wave heights of 2 to 4 feet. Today's high tide will occur this morning at 10:55, low tide this evening at 7 minutes past 5, and a high tide again tonight at 10:25. The sun will set this evening at 6 minutes past 6 and will rise tomorrow morning at 2 minutes after 7. And the outlook is calling for a decrease in cloudiness and showers expected from Thursday morning as the cold front continues to weaken.
The 8:10 a.m. Weather Report, Monday through Friday, is proudly sponsored by Pan American International Insurance Corporation. Pan American International Insurance Corporation, meeting the life, accident, and health insurance needs of individuals and businesses to ensure financial security and peace of mind. For more information, call 949-8304 or visit www.palig.com. That's PALIG.com.
We at Pan American Life Insurance Group are here to help you protect your family and your income. For more than 110 years, millions of people have trusted PALIG because we have always delivered on our promise. Life insurance is not only about death, but also about living benefits. We'll help you secure the life insurance, accident and sickness disability income you need to protect you and your family. Call us today at 949-8304 or visit our office, Unit 221, Cannon Place East, North Sound Road, or visit www.palig.com. Pan American Life, people you can trust for life.
During these unprecedented times, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Cayman Strong Series. The Cayman Strong Series is brought to you by Encourse Cayman. Visit encourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. Encourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
Achieving your goals is a very rewarding feeling, but at times can feel very frustrating, especially if and when we miss our target. As you approach your goals in life, set yourself up for success.
When setting your goals, celebrate your progress. It's important to acknowledge progress each step of the way as you achieve your goals. Everything that you do to move in that direction gets you a little closer. Planning small rewards along the way can help to keep things interesting and give us a taste of what sweet success will be like.
Change your thinking and change your life.
During these unprecedented times, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Cayman Strong Series. The Cayman Strong Series is brought to you by Encourse Cayman. Visit encourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. Encourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
These days, feelings of loneliness, anxiety, stress, and depression can be overwhelming. Just know you are not alone. Encourse Cayman offers private mental health services for children, teens, adults, and groups. Visit encourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. Encourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
Good morning once again. Let's take a look at what's happening on our roads. Busy traffic coming from the east. Slight delays expected as you're heading down to Georgetown. That's on the Linford Pearson Highway and also on Crew Road. Eastbound traffic is moderate on Crew Road. Light traffic on Owen Roberts Drive. No issues on Edward Street as traffic is light to moderate. And as we look to the West Bay 4-way, start flowing pretty good. And Huldah Avenue traffic is moderate. On the West Bay Road in front of the Ritz, traffic is moving on moderately in both directions. And in and out of Georgetown on Shedden Road looking pretty good. And on Northside Road, moderate flow of traffic. That's what's happening on your roads. Join us again at about 10 minutes after 12 o'clock. We'll give you another traffic report. Have a safe ride in to your final destination and click it or ticket.
At Subway, we caramel a lot about our customers, so we decided to give you 2 treats in one with the new Caramel Apple Cookie. Enjoy cinnamon apples, caramel bits, and salted caramel crunch baked in, and topped with a drizzle of caramel-flavored icing. Gooey, crunchy, and yummy. Complete your Subway sandwich, pizza, or salad with the delicious Caramel Apple Cookie or any other cookie flavor and dessert, available for a limited time at all Subway locations. Subway, eat fresh.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
Radio Cayman News.
Paper examines the current landscape of tribunals in the Cayman Islands.
2 women are stalked, one of them attacked while walking in Georgetown Monday morning.
It is our government's intention to provide an increased emphasis on climate resiliency.
A COVID outbreak is reported at government's residential home that cares for adults with special needs.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice for today's biggest news.
It's that time again to empty your coin jars and piggy banks. So Cayman, dig deep and give from the heart. Your loose change may not seem like much, but together as a community, we can use it to make a huge impact. Meals on Wheels is celebrating 25 years of serving the community, and you can help us to provide a hot meal to some of the most vulnerable members of our country, our seniors. And now, more than ever, we need your help to meet the increased demands. Whether it's Jangles or Foles, donate what you can when you see the Meals on Wheels volunteers stationed around Grand Cayman on January 28th and 29th. Join Cayman Islands Meals on Wheels, Davenport Development, and Radio Cayman in the fight to end senior hunger in the Cayman Islands. Visit www.mealsonwheels.ky or call 769-1974 to learn more.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. I want to remind you who we have in the studio with us. We have the Honorable Wayne Panton, Premier of the Cayman Islands. Minister, not doctor, Minister Sabrina Turner. She has constitutional responsibility for health and wellness. Dr. Autilia Newton, who is the Chief Medical Officer, Interim, and Dr. Hazel Brown. We're talking about, of course, COVID-19, new regulations that have been out as well, and the government moving forward to make things as convenient and as efficient as possible based on all of the demands that we are seeing taking place here in the Cayman Islands, but not only here in the Cayman Islands, in other jurisdictions as well. But before we get back into the conversation, I want to say welcome again to the Honorable Premier of the Cayman Islands. Premier, good morning, sir. Welcome back to For the Record.
Good morning, OC. Pleasure to be here with you as always. Let me wish you a happy new year and all of your listeners. Always a pleasure to be here, to be able to talk with you and interact with them. So thank you again for the opportunity.
Okay. So, Dr. Brown, we were talking about the testing. I believe you were complete with that, and we wanted to go over to Dr. Newton now to talk about reporting. So, Dr. Newton, you have the mic.
Okay, thank you very much, Jose. So, it's perfectly understandable that people want to know data, trends, what is happening, and so on. When I arrived here on the 6th of December last year, there was a daily reporting of some figures, like the new positive PCR, but also LFT, number of people who were in isolation or being looked after in the community, and so on, a number of admission to hospital, and unfortunately sometimes number if there was any deaths. Now, these figures are absolutely fine. What I also found was that there was an embryonic CTREP. The CTREP is what we call a situational report, that when you are in a situation of an emergency, so this COVID is an emergency, it's a big pandemic, each country might have a situational report at national level, and then the figures are published. So I've been working on that with a team of people, of colleagues, and to try to put together a bit more figures, which try to give you not only a visualization of numbers, so that you can see, if I tell you a number, it's quite difficult then to see how it's moving from one day to the next. If I tell you, today we have vaccinated 50 people, yes, what does it mean? It gives you an idea, but you can't really visualize. What you are interested in is your coverage and see how it goes up, or how the number of cases are going up. What is your activity? What does it mean? So this takes a bit of work. And we were trying to produce it on a daily basis, and we quickly realized that some of the graphs weren't changing very much from one day to the other, and this is why we are trying now to go weekly. So we're hoping that the first revised version would be ready by tonight. And then tomorrow we are hoping to go a bit more into details to explain to people what it means, because that will be made available. There is nothing to hide. It's just numbers, figures, and rates and so on. But I also appreciate the desire of people to know on a daily basis how many more positive there have been, how many people are still in quarantine, etc., or how many people have ended up in hospital, or how many people have died if that has happened. Yes. And therefore, these basic figures, we are more than happy to continue to release them on a daily basis.
Okay, thank you very much for that as well. Over to you, Minister Turner. We see in other jurisdictions where testing has been a challenge. In Bermuda, for instance, they had great demands on them as far as persons traveling, and at the same time, testing required for schools to be open as well. I don't believe that we have that challenge here in the Cayman Islands. Can you speak a little bit about where we are as far as between you and Dr. Brown in terms of our testing, and again going back over what was decided just yesterday and what has been announced now, how that will even improve the situation even more.
Yes, the whole object is to just try and scout out any clusters and to find as much positives, have them adhere to public health protocols as possible to try and suppress the amount of transmission that we do. This can only be achieved if we get the cooperation and compliance of the general public. I don't feel that testing itself is an issue here. It's the compliance. Public health has stepped up to the plate. They have employed more people to assist in the swabbing. Now our lab people, Mr. Jonathan Smelly and his team, have been working overtime. We have collaborated with a number of the private sectors as well to assist in getting results back in a timely manner. But I'm going to be very honest with you. Where the schools are concerned, some of the parents are just very reluctant, if not outright refusing to test their children. And we are fortunate as a jurisdiction to have these test kits that are readily and available, that we're distributing for free. So there's no reason why our community transmissions should be so high if we were adhering to public health protocols. We are blessed in comparison to some other jurisdiction to be able to have access to the vaccines, to the boosters, to the testing. For us to be in this situation where it is, we want people to have their choice. We have to balance the mental state of people. We have to look at the financial impact that it has on our island, on our nation. And these are all things, non-medical protocols that we put in, and then we do our part. But it takes collaborative effort. Your government is here. We make policies. We revise the acts. We adjust our belts as often as we can based on the results, and it is heavily data driven. We have had to pretty much overnight create some departments to help us manage the reopening and to just manage community, how we're going to manage COVID and existing with it. And our people have stepped up to the plate. Now, whether or not there's more room to be done, that we can bolster up a little bit more on our IT infrastructure, computer services working pretty much around the clock and extracting data, collating it so that we can make informed decisions for a national level is key. But where the testing is concerned, I know some persons are a bit upset because the timing sometimes is a bit off. Public health and their staff. It's the same staff that are swabbing, the same staff that are doing the clinics all over the island, and we want it more. We want it in real time. But we all have our part, which is why the national lateral flow policy was introduced, and the honor system, hoping that people will do the right thing. But again, if you don't report your positives, We don't know. You're out there, you're breaching, because you're a public health risk. We all have our part to do in order to help us fight this disease.
Okay. We have a question from one of our listeners, and this person wanted to know whether or not these new protocols and new policies apply to travelers. And the person says, I am in isolation since the 11th of January with all negative lateral flow tests every day. So what advice would be?
Have to continue as they were. They're handled by a team. They have to still do their day 2, day 5, and day 10.
Mm-hmm.
That, to the best of my knowledge, that has not changed. Am I correct?
No, we're waiting for the regulations to be approved. Yeah.
Community. So until new regulations are published.
Mm-hmm.
The travelers continue.
Okay.
But also, we expect to be looking at this situation imminently.
Mm-hmm.
We anticipate having a press conference tomorrow.
Okay.
And we will have a notification going out in respect to that. So there will be more information which will be coming, and more which will outline the additional steps that are being taken to address a number of the very topical issues that people are concerned about. So this particular one, this particular change in policy is one which is done by the Public Health. They have the authority under the Public Health Act to implement these types of protocols, and they can then vary them and change them, or they could eliminate them. And in this case, there is a variation which is designed to be more helpful to the community, to shorten the periods of time and to facilitate people being able to, to get back to their productive lives in a shorter period of time, but still safely.
Yes.
But that is just one aspect of it. Now there are other aspects, as you will know, which are controlled by regulations, which have been issued by the government under the Public Health Act as well. And we will be making adjustments to those regulations, and we will be outlining those tomorrow in a press conference.
Okay.
We understand that people may be a bit frustrated because there are actually some families that are with children who are unvaccinated, no fault of theirs, but because at the time of the implementation of the regulations, there were no way for us to vaccinate those children. So they find themselves isolating despite both parents being fully vaccinated and some even being boosted, still are subjected to 14-day quarantine. But the whole idea of this decision made by Public Health was to try to get our local persons with non-travel related back out to jobs and children into school. So as the Premier stated, that we are making the necessary amendments, and in short order we will be giving more information as to how we could possibly extend this to the travellers.
Okay, we're going to take a commercial break. When we return, one of our listeners, that same topic that you just mentioned, about younger children being unable to be vaccinated. And I think there was a release recently that soon there will be some relief there as well. And I'd like you to talk about that if possible. Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
Hi, I'm remodeling our bathroom. I have a few questions.
Sure.
What are some ideas to make my bathroom feel larger? How do I know if I'm picking the right vanity? How do I choose a new toilet or a new countertop? Also, the lighting is terrible. Can I put a window or a skylight? And do I really need an exhaust fan?
You've come to the right place. At Brand Source, we custom design kitchen and baths, and our talented design team can help answer your questions. Whether you're looking for a modern, functional family bathroom or a luxurious personal retreat, we'll help create that beautiful space that makes your home yours. And if you're in a rush for a new look and have a limited budget, our ready-to-install bathroom vanities, built with solid wood and countertops of the finest materials, are a quick and easy remodeling solution.
For the very best in custom-designed kitchens and baths, visit Brand Source Home Gallery on Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, Cayman's Kitchen and Bath Center.
The Overseas Government Scholarship deadline for the 2022-2023 academic year is Monday, 31st January. To apply for an overseas government scholarship or learn more about the various scholarship programs before the deadline, please visit the recently upgraded scholarship application portal at www.moescholarships.gov.ky or email the Scholarship Secretariat Unit at scholarships@gov.ky.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
On a daily basis, making it easy to connect with you, our listeners. Add us to WhatsApp today, 925-3261. That's 925-3261.
Radio Cayman.
Send a text or voice note.
Can I send a request, please?
You don't really have to ask us. Just send a request.
This is a shout out to my ex.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation. System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Ort Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me this morning, the Honorable Wayne Panton, Premier of the Cayman Islands. Also with us, Minister Sabrina Turner, who has constitutional responsibility for health and wellness. Dr. Autilia Newton, who is the Chief Medical Officer, Interim, and Dr. Hazel Brown. So, Minister Turner, want to tell us what's in the cards for the younger folks, something that is being worked on, and hopefully some announcement will be made shortly in that as well.
Yes, tomorrow we are having a press briefing and we're finalizing regulations to be announced at that time. But one of the areas that was actually stated, and even just moving into the next phase, as I alluded to at the beginning of the show, of phase 5, parents were asking for those children age 4 and younger whether or not they would take the vaccination status of their parents. That was discussed, and again we are looking at that in being able to make the official announcements to that. And then age 5 to 11s, confirming whether or not being able to give those boosters for those parents who would allow their children to get boosted, but just boosters overall. Vaccination, sorry, to be vaccinated. So all of these we'll be able to delve into and definitely address the nation tomorrow, because we still have some regulations. It would be a bit too premature for us to do it without an official paper.
Well, see, the big issue has always been, and the big bone of contention with parents has always been, if you can have a child who is in the community and the child isn't positive, but a member of the household is positive, that as long as they, even though they're unvaccinated, well, let me stop for a second. The normal national lateral flow test policy is, if you have a positive in the household and you are vaccinated, you can do an LFT every day, and if you're negative on that LFT every day, you can come and go on a daily basis. The one exception to that is in relation to children that are under 18 that are going to school. They are going to be unvaccinated.
Under 12. Under 12.
Right. Originally it was under 18 because we dropped it down to 12, right? So those children, to the extent that they're unvaccinated currently and they can't get vaccinated currently, which would be under 12, those can go to school as long as they have a negative LFT daily as well. So the argument has been with parents with other children who want to travel, that why can't you apply the same LFT daily negative test regime to our children, to their children, right? Because all those parents are typically fully vaccinated, they're able to travel, but when they travel and then they come back with the kids,
they have to quarantine.
They have to quarantine for the 14 days. So they're saying, why can we not apply that LFT policy to those children.
Yeah.
But obviously Dr. Autilia is here, and she's a good person to be able to explain, the issues around variants of concern. But that's the basis for it. When you travel, we have a very cosmopolitan society, people from all over the world, and sometimes people don't just go to one destination. Sometimes they're making 4 or 5 different stops, or 2 or 3 different stops in different countries around the world. And because they have children that are unvaccinated, it is quite possible that those children can inadvertently become very effective vectors for a lot of other variants of concern, even some that we don't even know about right now. And that's the reason why we have traditionally taken the position. I say traditionally, so not like it's really a long time, right? That's the reason we have taken the position before, and it's based on their advice, public health advice, that we shouldn't apply the national LFT policy to these children that are traveling. But when we have people within our community, it is a greater value to us to have them test and be able to go to school. Traveling is not something that you can't equate going to school with traveling, or vice versa. So the risk with traveling is a lot greater, and that is why that position has been taken. Now we are looking at ways to address that, and that is part of the discussion tomorrow at the press briefing, and we'll outline how we're going to look at that. Now that's against the background of growing number of authorization for children above 5 to get vaccinated in the U.S. and growing numbers of vaccinations for them there. It's also against the background of our own local rules here changing to allow children who are above 5 who are vulnerable or immunocompromised or whatever reason they're vulnerable, or they live in a household with somebody else who's vulnerable, and we are allowing those children to get vaccinated right now. We have been pushing, begging, pleading with the UK to allow us to utilize some of the vaccine supply we have to measure it off with the children's dosage and administer that to more broadly to the 5 to 11s. We don't have that authorization yet. I'm told that it is quite that it's imminent. It's quite possibly right around the corner. It may be this week, maybe days. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed because I know that we have a lot of Caymanian parents. We have a lot of other residents here who have young children who want to get their children vaccinated. For, whatever the reason is. Sometimes the child is maybe they feel they're compromised, but not sufficiently in terms of a medical justification to get it right now, or they want to travel. Whatever it is, they want to protect their children too, and that is something that I'm hoping we get that resolved imminently, based on the representations I have received.
Okay.
Of course, we were trying to get access through Pfizer directly, but that has not been possible. That has not been possible. The
demand is
we keep being told that it's going to be months down the road. That's understandable given the level of demand there is around the world, even just in the U.S. So it's not an easy thing, but we're going to get there. I'm confident we're going to get there fairly quickly. if we're lucky, I might have something to say tomorrow, but that would be, perhaps is expecting too much.
Okay. Dr. Newton, anything you want to add to what the Premier said?
Yes, just to follow on what the Premier had just said, the ideally what you would like to have is the specific doses for children. So and those ones are the ones which are really difficult to find because they're not being produced as the demand is too high.
For the kids' vials.
The kids'
vials. Dosage vials.
But you can use the adult vials and then use the appropriate proportion of a vaccine for the children. Now, this is a bit more fidgety to do. Clearly, it's not straightforward as you do for the adults, and this is why we are envisaging that the vaccination for the moment is allowed for children between the age of 5 and up to 12 if they are in one of the vulnerable groups, which is quite a restricted list of conditions, quite severe, like anything to do with the cancers or
cystic
fibrosis, but also diseases of the neurological diseases or Down syndrome, this sort of things. So it's quite a restricted number. But also if the child, as the Premier was saying, lives in a house where there is an immunocompromised individual. And so you want to reduce the risk for that person of a child passing the infection on to that. So at the moment, the vaccine is available for these children, but has to be given in a health environment, so in a medical environment, rather than, we can't really go to school and do it, because it's a bit more complicated. What we are hoping to hear is that then we can use these adult vials for all the 5 to 11 years old. And this is what should be fairly imminent. So we're not waiting for the children's dosage, the children's vials, because that will take, quite a long time.
Okay.
So we're planning a clinic. It's going to be announced this weekend. We will have the press release out. We have to control this very, very carefully. This will only be administered by the public health nurses. So with the public health nurses right now are all tied up in the contact tracing and the vaccination and that sort of thing. So we have to do that on a weekend. So we're planning to do a clinic, and it'll be announced hopefully on this weekend. We're going to put all the public health nurses in it, so we should be able to accommodate a fair number of these vulnerable children. We need the private practitioners who will be in contact, I'm hoping, with Dr. Newton to get those criteria very, very clearly, because for every parent, their child is vulnerable. And, there's going to be great pressure on pediatricians and private, and particularly private physicians, I believe, to give these letters that say that the children are vulnerable. And we have to be alert to that it's something that one of the biggest things in this pandemic is the overwhelm of your health system. You need me to stop?
No.
Oh, and it's public demand can truly overwhelm a national health system, and we've seen this repeatedly in this pandemic. It's one of the things that we in public health, I see public health as the reef that surrounds the island of the health system. And we have to be careful that we in public health are not overwhelmed, because if we are, then the hospital systems will as well. And I'm asking for parents to be reasonable. We are going to get this vaccine out to kids. but it's a limited number. Because we're working with these tiny doses, we have to give it to skilled and experienced staff who know how to manage these tiny doses, who know how to manage children. And it's the nurses who are currently doing our child health clinic, who have been vaccinating children for their entire careers. Those are the nurses that we're going to be putting to work with this.
In that clinic.
That clinic. And we're going to probably run a 5 practitioner clinic if we can find the 5 practitioners on that first day. It's going to be by appointment. You're not just going to rock up and say, I'm come to get it. Because we have to be able to cope with the volume that's coming through. So stay tuned for that. It'll be announced on this weekend, we plan, because we're right now just finalizing the arrangements and getting the computer system ready to accommodate all these additional clinics, and so that we can make the appointments and getting the nurses au fait with the new dose, because people need it's right now we're using 0.3 of a mil for our adult dose, and we're going down to 0.1 of a mil for the children's doses. So you have to be very, very careful with the drawing up of this, the measuring of this, making sure that we get the precise amount. So it's going to take some planning.
Okay, we have to take a commercial break. Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
West Bay, home to Barkas National Park, the touristy flair, a family community, a political powerhouse. From sports enthusiasts to car aficionados, affection for silver thatch rope. No matter how far you may venture, West Bay will always be where the heart is. Home will always be in West Bay. West Bay Pharmacy, caring for your home and your family. West Bay Pharmacy in Centennial Towers. Convenient, quality care is just around the corner.
Thinking of getting a hybrid but don't know much about them? Vamp Motors has 3 great reasons why you should own the Toyota CHR. Hybrids save fuel, run cleaner, reduce CO2 emissions, and even recharge their batteries while being driven. So there's no need to plug in a hybrid, making it both economical and fun to drive. And you don't have to replace your battery every 2 years. The CHR Hybrid is reliable, providing up to 1 million kilometers on the same battery and engine. Oh, and now you can save $2,000 off the Toyota CHR, starting at only $33,500.
That's way more than 3 reasons.
True, but the best one is that it's on sale now. Test drive the Toyota CHR today at Vamp Motors, Walkers Road, while stocks last.
Let me tell you something. I've been fishing our island since I was a boy, and it's getting harder and harder to get a good catch. Maybe it's because there are so many more people in Cayman than ever before. Maybe it's because of how the climate is changing. I don't know about that, but I do know that I want to be able to keep fishing and teach my children to fish one day as well. So it makes sense to me that we have certain areas and certain times of the year to fish for certain things. This year, a new rule was placed on fishing for grouper that says no one can fish for nass or grouper anywhere in Cayman from December 1st to April 30th while they're spawning. There is also no fishing allowed at all for any kinds of fish in the spawning zones, and no scuba diving there either. It feels unfair not to be allowed to fish where my dad had taught me to fish, but I know that being patient now means we can keep fishing for many more generations. We're all in this together, right?
For more info, download the Cayman DOE app or visit doe.ky.
How do I lose weight and keep it off?
I can't just eat salads. Have you tasted my family's rundown? And oh, what about the turtle meat?
These are common questions I hear from people when it comes to weight loss. Learn how to lead a healthier lifestyle, the one you desire, and successfully manage your weight with my proven step-by-step process and my new book, New Shoes, A Journey of Self-Discovery.
Working with Donna has helped me create a healthier lifestyle. Old habits are no longer a challenge. If you're looking for help in managing life, reducing weight, and maintaining a lifestyle that fits your wellness goals, Donna Mitchell is the coach you need.
New Shoes, A Journey of Self-Discovery has been tried and tested on hundreds of participants in the Cayman Islands and is available on Amazon and Kindle. Order your copy today. Visit inspiredwithdonna.com for more details.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. We do have a caller, and we're going to take that caller, despite the fact that earlier we did set some ground rules in relation to wanting our queries to come in either by email or by WhatsApp. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, ma'am. How are you?
I am well. Just a little word to Mr. Premier there, sir. Mr. Premier, there's a very recent court case in Australia. It might have been Government of Australia versus or Public Health Australia versus a very famous person. You gotta have knees that buckle sometimes, and you gotta have steel rods in your knees sometimes that you don't buckle that. You gotta leave that right alone. And so we need to be proactive here in the Cayman Islands along the same lines, not reactive to the small population of Caymanians. And there's a difference between a Caymanian and a Caymanian. And I, in particular, is concerned about how you got to be a Caymanian. Sir, my question is, where are the laws and the remedies for the breaches of the laws? And to talk about pressures on pediatricians, I thank Public Health for bringing that forward and asking us, the general public, the parents, the grandparents, the aunties, the uncles, the sisters, and the brothers, to remember that our children are vulnerable, or in plain language, people, your children, our family members, young, who can't speak for themselves in every issue, and I think this is one that they may not be able to advocate for themselves. They too can die. And I believe, it is my belief, that the same virus that has killed hundreds of thousands of adults around the globe, the entire globe, yes, they do have the capacity, in my humble opinion, to kill our vulnerable children. This does not let Public Health off the hook. Be plain, upfront, truthful, honest to the core. These same parents that you're trying to, get on the right side of this issue. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, caller. Thank you, caller, for that.
Thank you very much.
Any response?
No, I agree, obviously, with the caller, and this is something that has. This global pandemic has caused the death of millions. I don't know what the number is now. Is it more than 10 million at this point? Yeah. There was a time when I knew these numbers off the tip of my finger all the time. To be honest, you tend to stop looking at it sometimes because it's an overwhelming issue sometimes, and you just focus on what you have to deal with locally. But yeah, and a lot of those have been children, and it is absolutely right for parents to be concerned about the health of their children. We also have, even if it doesn't amount to death, we do have children that have experienced that phenomenon they call long haul COVID, and then it also is possible for them to have damaged lungs or other damaged organs from COVID. I mean, we're aware of the myocarditis, the inflammation around the heart and heart muscles, and then the pericarditis, which is, I think, the lining. All these types of things can have long-lasting impacts. There were some vaccines that that I think there was an indication that there were rare cases of things like that triggering off, like myocarditis or pericarditis. And people were sort of concerned about taking the vaccine for that reason. But the reality is there's many more cases of that sort of problem from children who have actual COVID, right? So the risk is far, far greater to let them, for them to get infected and suffer from COVID. So, yes, there's nothing that touches us that makes us feel more vulnerable and and more desirous of defending and keeping safe than our children.
Okay.
So fully understand where the call is coming from.
I have one WhatsApp message, and I'm going to read just this simply because this seems to still be one of the hurdles that we need to get over. This person says, why, when you have both vaccine and a booster, we are still getting COVID-19 now? We have repeatedly, over and over, the government, all of the medical professionals has pointed out why the vaccine is necessary and what it does. But it is obvious that there are still those persons who haven't really fully understood the purpose of the vaccine. So we're going to go over to the medical people on this side of the table and get them to explain to this individual why, with both vaccines and a booster, it is still possible for them to contract COVID.
Okay, thank you very much for this question, Jose. I think the easiest way to understand it is if you look at influenza. So every year we get a slightly different virus of influenza, and every year we have to vaccinate people. COVID is behaving exactly in the same way. And the advantage that COVID has is that it has spread so much across the world. Every time a new virus is born, it's like humans, it's slightly different. Mm-hmm. But then, because there are millions and millions and millions and billions of these viruses multiplying and circulating, so the amount of variations that you get is quite significant. So what's happened, for example, with this latest variant, so the variants are classified in variants of interest and variants of concern. Mm. So if the number of variations are limited, WHO defines them as variants of interest. Let's see what it does. But if then the variations are quite considerable, like Omicron has 50 variations compared to the original strain, that becomes a variant of concern, because the concern is how much faster can spread, what are the characteristics of this variant. Is it possible still to diagnose with the tools that we have now, be this LFT, be this PCR, and does the variant respond to the vaccine? Does the variant respond to the treatments that we have available? Now, every time a new variant comes along of that magnitude with so much variation, you don't have the answer the following day. It takes about 3 months to start understanding whether can we diagnose with the tools we have, as response to the vaccine, and blah, blah, blah. And this is why, people have to understand the virus is very dynamic, is a living organism which evolves. Mm-hmm. So we were extremely excited when the vaccines first arrived, yes, because we knew they were very effective. And then we realized we had to discover that the protection that the vaccine was offering, which was very high, very, very good, and then didn't last very long. But again, look back at the influenza. Every year, the vaccine for the influenza, if they get it the closest possible to what is circulating, it gives you about 60-70% protection in the better years. That's the protection they give you. And the following year is finished because you have a slightly different virus. So with COVID, we are in a better position because we know now that even with Omicron, if you have not just the 2 doses, but the booster, then your protection against severe disease and death is reaching 80%, which is very, very good. And also the chances of getting the infection are less. So my appeal to people is you need to get the booster. You need to get vaccinated if you are not, and you need to get that booster.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Doctor. We have to go to our headline news. When we return, I want to talk about some of the challenges that we're experiencing, and we want to extend to the public what they can do to help the situation that we're in now, the various categories that they find themselves in. If they're vaccinated, what can they do to help? If they're unvaccinated, what can they do to help? If they're traveling, what can they do to help? Or do you really need to travel? How can you do that as well? So all of those questions and all of those issues we're going to be covering when we return. Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
Starting today, new rules have shortened the length of time folks have to quarantine after testing positive. If you're vaccinated, you'll only have to isolate for 6 days, becoming eligible for an exit PCR test on day 7. If you're unvaccinated but you test positive, you'll isolate for 9 days, becoming eligible for an exit PCR on day 10. A key undersea cable that was destroyed in a volcanic eruption in Tonga may take at least 4 weeks to be repaired. The cable was severed during the volcanic eruption on Saturday, crippling communications and cutting the Pacific island off from the outside world. The eruption also caused a tsunami, which left at least 3 people dead, including a British national. And the U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken has called on Russia to take a, quote, diplomatic and peaceful path as fears mount of a new invasion of Ukraine. An estimated 100,000 Russian troops have been deployed near Ukraine's border, and Mr. Blinken said Russian plans were in place to beef them up at short notice. Russia has repeatedly denied planning to invade neighboring Ukraine. Those are your headlines. I'm Karsley Fuller.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me this morning, the Honorable Wayne Panton, Premier of the Cayman Islands, Minister Sabrina Turner, who has responsibility for health and wellness, Dr. Autilia Newton, who is the Chief Medical Officer Interim in the Cayman Islands, and Dr. Hazel Brown. So I want to talk about some of the challenges, and we want to implore the public in terms of what they can do to help. I'm sure that each individual act, whatever that may be, can contribute in a positive way as well. If either non-action or acting in the wrong way can end up with a negative result as well. And one of our listeners also wanted to know something about the various costings, for testing as well, if we could touch on that also. So, mic is open. Who wants to grab it?
Well, I'll say I'd like to start with
sure.
The fundamental position that we have always maintained with people in relation to COVID since January of last year, which is get vaccinated if you are not vaccinated. We've just had the question that was dealt with talking about, why do people, why can people still catch it if they're fully vaccinated and boosted? And Dr. Autilia very clearly outlined that. But that, and what she is saying is effectively, once you're boosted, it improves your chances of not catching it. But the really critical part of it is that it really improves your chances of not getting sick badly and dying. OC, as Minister and I, every day look at these numbers of people who are in the hospital. We look at the daily admissions, we look at the daily discharges, we look at, where in the hospital they are, whether they're ventilated, whether they're in critical care unit, and we know a lot of the people that are admitted, and we know some of the vulnerabilities they have. These are our people, so we constantly try to keep up to date and understand what's happening. And we also see the number of people that are vaccinated versus unvaccinated. There are weeks that go by that everybody in the hospital are unvaccinated. But there are, for the majority of the time, the vast majority of people who are in the hospital are unvaccinated. Mm-hmm. That's why you hear these comments locally and internationally about this being a pandemic of the unvaccinated, because it is the unvaccinated that are most at risk of getting really sick and dying. And that is where our major concern is. Yes, we can have people who have a lot of comorbidities and are fully vaccinated and possibly can die as well, despite the benefit of the vaccine. But I don't believe I'm wrong in saying that the people that we have had die, our own people here that we have had die, who died from COVID, in other words, they didn't have any other significant comorbidities that we're aware of, they were unvaccinated. Well, see, this is why I plead with people. They're people who are dying from COVID, not just with COVID, because we have had people who have had other diseases, who were in very difficult situations from other diseases that happen to have COVID as well. Now, the COVID may have contributed to their death, may have brought it, made it sooner. Who knows? We don't know exactly, but we know that there are people who have died basically solely from COVID, and they are unvaccinated. We don't have any examples of people who are fully vaccinated and or boosted who have died solely from COVID. Mm-hmm. So it helps us. It helps people. The pain that families feel, and we're all in this together, because this isn't something that they just be walking along the ground and step on something and they pick it up. This is transmitted amongst all of us. And if we can be the link that slows or breaks the transmission from other people, then we're all doing our collective part to help. And people have to help themselves by getting vaccinated. They have to help others by being a part of that chain. I remember back in 2020, one of the greatest illustrations I ever saw of the impact of this kind of concept of being a part of this chain was when they did the matches. They had all the matches lined up, and if you light one match on one end, that match would light the next match, it would light the next match, it would light the next match. But they did another illustration then where they had 50 matches lined up, and one match in the middle was removed. So the first 24 matches would light. When it gets to that 25th match that has been removed and the gap is there, the next match doesn't light, right? So that's a illustration of the concept that, it's not 100%. We know that the vaccines do not prevent infection, but it prevents serious illness and dying. And what it also does is it helps to protect the people who are in public health. It helps to protect our health system generally. Because if we get flooded with loads of people being sick, even if they're not dying, it has a major impact across the board, because everybody else has, because the hospitals are full of people with COVID, it don't stop cancer. It don't stop diabetes.
Start dying Trauma patients start dying.
Right.
Motor vehicle accidents will happen.
Everything. Yeah. Right.
The vaccine is like a helmet, right? The helmet doesn't stop you from crashing.
But when you crash.
But when you crash, it prevents a head injury.
Yeah.
And I think people kind of forget that medical and healthcare workers are human beings as well.
And
they're also susceptible to contracting this virus. And should we have a large number of our healthcare providers, which we're finding who's not leaving the profession, are actually getting sick or having to deal with the sick relatives who they also have to care for, but they're told that it's taking on their mental health as well, which is why it's important you ask, what are some of the challenges? People that are shopping around, because we do testing for free, and public health offers surveillance testing as well, and they're just shopping around knowing that they are positive, that they may have went to one facility, got a positive result, told to isolate, but they're not satisfied with that, and they go to another facility, do another test. These tests are not for free. You may not necessarily be paying up front under the public health surveillance, but government is paying for every test that you do. And this is why, from a national level, we are making protocols where exiting testing, once you've been placed in isolation or quarantine as directed by public health, because you are a public health risk, that exit testing should only be done by public health. There's a reason for that. Should you go to another facility that's not public health, they can't say, that other facility can't say, oh, just go home, rest, and once you come back, you're good. That directive can only be given by public health. So these are some of the challenges that we're seeing, and because people were just queuing up at a facility, let's say they go to HSA, the result is taking too long, they go to another facility and they get a result back quickly, government is still paying for that. What we're also noticing as well, we've lessened the cost of testing for persons who may have to travel or just general surveillance, because government at the very onset, we didn't want this to be a money-making thing, and we did the right thing from a national level in making sure that there was no duty on these test kits. Now we understand that you can get kits for some places $5, some were selling them for $9, $10, $12. The prices were through the roof. But we're asking that all of our business people just take this into consideration, that if you want to have a healthy community and help your government or your leaders fight in this fight, be fair. Be fair at the till, because we have done what we can do as a government to make it duty free. Don't price gouge. Don't do that. But the testing right now at HSA is $75 for PCR, and certified LFT is for $25. That can be done at McClendon Drive, which is in the DHL building behind Price Right, and that's Monday to Friday from 7:30 until 12, on Saturday 10 a.m. to 12, Sunday 10 a.m. to 2, and on public holidays 10 until 12 p.m.
Okay. Mr. Premier, I know that early in the week you put out a statement in relation to the Honourable Juliana O'Connor Connolly and her testing positive, and I'm just want to be sure, speedy recovery as well, and just inquire, how she's doing.
I had an exchange with her yesterday evening or last night, and she is still experiencing sort of mild to moderate, not significant, but obviously not comfortable either symptoms. But she doesn't seem to be in at any risk at this point, and she seems to be doing quite well, thank God. Okay. So I check on her every day, sometimes twice a day, and I think there are other members of her family who seem to be doing better. They're sort of past the heavily symptomatic or more symptomatic part, but she has at least one other family member that is still somewhat unwell. But I think she'll be fine, and we're obviously thank you very much for extending your well wishes to her in that respect, and
Yes.
I'm sure the country would join you in that.
Certainly.
And certainly we repeat that all the time and from our colleagues.
Excellent. We're going to take a commercial break now, and then we do have some people in the BRAC who are curious to know what's happening for them in the BRAC, whether or not there's anything specific, or whether or not what we're talking about in general. We know that a lot of that is applicable to them as well. And then we also have a question about the field hospital, whether I think that was being prepared, whether or not that is up and available if necessary as well. So, folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Make your house into a home. Welcome to Brand Source Home Gallery, your source for premium products and a premium experience. We'll design and install your dream kitchen with crafted cabinets, complemented with elegant appliances. We'll fill it with quality houseware and cookware. Custom-designed closet and storage solutions organize and beautify any area. And with the finest bedding, you'll get a perfect night's sleep knowing Brand Source Home Gallery has everything you need to make your house a home.
For the Health of It is heard on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. and repeated on Saturdays at 9:30 a.m. It is brought to you by Holy Cross Health. Quality medical care and advanced technology with sincere compassion and understanding. Our mission is you. Call 1-954-351-5906. Email global services at holy-cross.com or visit Holy Cross Health at holy-cross.com.
Thinking of getting a hybrid but don't know much about them? Vamp Motors has 3 great reasons why you should own the Toyota CHR. Hybrids save fuel, run cleaner, reduce CO2 emissions, and even recharge their batteries while being driven. So there's no need to plug in your hybrid, making it both economical and fun to drive. And you don't have to replace your battery every 2 years. The CHR Hybrid is reliable, providing up to 1 million kilometers on the same battery and engine. Oh, and now you can save $2,000 off the Toyota CHR, starting at only $33,500.
That's way more than 3 reasons.
True, but the best one is that it's on sale now. Test drive the Toyota CHR today at Vamp Motors, Walkers Road, while stocks last.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. I want to remind our listeners and our viewers, well, the viewers can see, listeners can hear, but some people may join us a little bit late as well, who is in the studio with me this morning. And it is my pleasure to have the Honorable Wayne Panton, Premier of the Cayman Islands, also with us, Honorable Sabrina Turner, Minister responsible for Health and Wellness, Dr. Autilia Newton, the Chief Medical Officer Interim, and Dr. Hazel Brown, and we're giving you as much information as possible. You would have heard earlier also that there will be a press briefing tomorrow where more substantive information will be provided to you. So you may get a little sneak preview here and there, from the conversation now, but the details will be provided to you tomorrow at that press briefing as well. Meanwhile, it is important to keep the public advised, informed, but also to continue to hammer home the importance of following the various protocols that have been put in place in order for us to combat COVID-19. So, Mr. Turner, the BRAC, anything special for them that we want to tell them at this point in time? We started to see their numbers, creep up again. I got a few calls on one of my shows talking about the wearing of masks. Some of it may have been disputed, but it seemed as if there were individuals over there who were not adhering to that protocol as well.
Right. Well, whatever public health protocols are put in place for Grand Cayman, definitely Cayman Brac, because you either take it by boat or definitely by plane, they're a part of our conversation. And we understand that that is a very vulnerable society over there, comprising of a lot of our senior citizens. And the freedom of that was being dubbed as the new Miami during the close of our international borders, which has given a new love for our sister islands. And what we have done is unfortunate that it is now over there. COVID is now over there, and we are going to be speaking a lot more on this, but because it is a long weekend coming up, what is being proposed so that people will be aware in advance that we will be advocating that all inter-island travel, you must have a negative PCR or lateral flow certified test before you travel to or from the sister islands. This works both ways, and we will definitely encourage the use and the wearing of masks, and definitely the hand sanitizing techniques. Avoid large crowds as much as possible. We know that a lot of requests also came in as to whether, and there was even rumored that we would shut it down. That is, we didn't feel at this time that was necessary. What we need to encourage is persons to go and get vaccinated and get boosters instead of what they wanted to do a lockdown. But to aid in this, we are going to definitely be putting it in regulations. And for those persons who are planning on going over to the BRAC, we will be reaching out to Cayman Airways and the various ports to make sure that persons who are traveling to the BRAC, to the sister islands, and even coming over to Grand Cayman, that they must receive a certified lateral flow negative or PCR test before travel this weekend. But you're not forgotten, the sister islands. That is not the case. Nobody loves over there more than me and Premier, definitely, and I'm quite sure we share that around the table here. But yes, and another thing that we noticed, we're trying to do this as best as possible with keeping engaged with the community. The speed of social media, sometimes PSAs go out at late hours of the night. But what we're understanding now, and Dr. Brown could probably add on some more, the isolation and the public health reduction in isolation of COVID-19 positives for community persons that was released last night. Apparently, it appears people have taken themselves out of isolation and not going to get tested. Mm-hmm. That was not the intent.
That is a breach of the public health.
And it is a breach, and you will be fined. It is an offense. You will be fined. The whole idea of this is to try and answer to the call of people. But now you can't just do it and just remove yourself from isolation.
Okay.
You have to report to the testing site to get tested before you go into the community. So we're encouraging people to go down to the Truman Bodden Sports Complex, into that parking lot there where the testing is ongoing for anyone who has been in isolation from
prior
the 11th.
Prior to the 11th.
Prior to the 11th of January, and to get tested before they take it upon themselves to leave, because you're in direct breach of the public health regulations, and this is where the enforcement arm now will definitely have to ramp up.
That ties right into an email that I received from one of our listeners, and this person says, I believe that some persons in isolation are now about and out and about and not being honest. This may be leading to the spread.
Yes.
And their question is, how are isolated persons at home being monitored?
One of the things that people were even questioning when we were putting the tracking devices on persons, that we were infringing on their rights. That aided, I must tell you, despite the breaches, some of the breaches that we had, that was only implemented for persons who were travelers. And then if you were caught in breach of isolation, being non-related to travel, then we would ban you. Mm-hmm. We're beginning to get a lot of criticisms on that. But you know what? when that was done, people adhered to the protocols, and they were less likely to breach. We don't want to go there because we know that our people are smarter than that, and by right, there's a small percentage that really continue well. Yes, but I'm going to give them the credit.
Yeah.
But right now, everything that we're doing to try and aid in us living with COVID, trying to put in protocols and mechanisms, doing the legislation. But if our people refuse to follow them, how are we going to lessen the community spread? We have given this opportunity to get almost 1,800 people out of isolation this morning with one simple request. Go to the Truman Bodden Sports Complex and get tested. And then, based on the result, even if it's 24 hours, you are free. You are free. And you're going to take it on yourself, not knowing what your vaccination status. You can reinfect. And again, our numbers can spike after today. We will know it because the numbers will be reflected, let's say, in the next 3 to 5 days.
Dr. Newton, anything you want to add here?
Yeah, and absolutely. I mean, this is really, really crucial because the only way we can fight the virus is with the vaccination and the booster on one hand, but also with the very strict respect and implementation of the quarantine and isolation measures. There is no other way around. It's a virus we spread very, very easily, and the Omicron variant is much better at spreading than previous variant. This is why we see all these spikes in infection. And it's respiratory. So just breathing, just talking, if we are infected, we are going to spit out quite a lot of these viruses, which then contaminate the surfaces and so on. This is why it's so important to know whether you are infectious, and when you know that, to stay at home as required. And now we're just asking you, before you discharge yourself and you go back into the community, just to be tested to be sure that you are no longer infectious.
Yep. Dr. Brown, we have a question from the BRAC. Person says they've tested positive with a lateral flow test and now want to do the PCR test. Where do they go?
Call the hospital. I'm not sure where they are today. But
this is in the BRAC?
Yeah. The flu clinic is on the bluff up at the Aston Ruddy Centre, and I believe their testing clinic is up there as well. But the public health nurse up there, or even Sharon Dilbert at the front desk at the ward, can tell them where the testing is being done at this moment, because it may start at 1 o'clock there. I'm not sure. I don't have the precise details. I'd like to follow up, though, on this thing about exiting quarantine before. I need for my people to understand the impact of one breach.
Just one.
One breach can cause thousands of cases and tens of deaths. All of the cases that we had coming out of the north side and the Georgetown primary school clusters last year, all of the hospitalizations that we had that were not related to travelers were related to one incursion of the virus into our population. And I don't believe that Caymanians are that dumb that they don't get that. We are an intelligent people. We have been people of integrity. We have been people who were, okay, yes, we have our criminals. Every country has its criminals. But this is not the culture that we grew up in. We grew up in a responsible society. And I am so disturbed by what I'm seeing in the behaviors of my people and those who have come to be a part of us. Little children are being placed at risk. We have had a child, at least one child, who had never had a noted infection, who was admitted with a severe heart condition that was later linked to a previously undiagnosed COVID infection. Mm-hmm. Our children are going to be harmed by this in perpetuity. Mm-hmm. Our workforce is going to be harmed by this in perpetuity. People are ending up with sequelae, and everybody thinks, oh, this is just Omicron. Omicron is mild disease. Mm-mm. The director of the WHO, Dr. Tedros, has said it very, very clearly. It is not to be taken lightly. Just because it's not showing up with all of these critical care admissions, it doesn't mean you're not going to have cerebral problems. Right. You're going to have issues of cognition going forward. You're going to have problems of clotting going forward. You can have neurological. There are all sorts of sequelae. Our children can have lung sequelae. Our children can have heart conditions coming off of this. And it really and truly breaks my heart to see us being so irresponsible and setting our country up for health disasters down the road.
Okay, we're going to take a commercial break with that. Very, very
Thank you for
passionate
that
and powerful
message
that Dr. Brown has given us as well. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
This is how we wake you up in the morning. Praise time on Radio Cayman.
Praise the healer, jumping, he's my provider. Are you ready? Here we go. I feel like running, skipping, running. Feel like skipping.
Praise time.
Give me Jesus in the morning.
I will. So send me, Lord, I will go.
Weekday mornings from 6 until 6:30.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, Honorable Wayne Panton, Premier of the Cayman Islands. Honorable Sabrina Turner, Minister, and I made her a doctor earlier, but I didn't give her a certificate yet, so I've pulled that back for now. Honorable Sabrina Turner, Minister responsible for Health and Wellness, Dr. Autilia Newton, Chief Medical Officer, Interim, and Dr. Hazel Brown. I'm going to link this to a question that we want to, or a point that we want to repeat about the BRAC. Someone sent a WhatsApp message saying that the whole issue with the BRAC doesn't make sense at all because, so you're telling me that if I'm living in West Bay and I want to go to East End, I should do a lateral flow test. And I responded to them and said that it is not a fair and rational comparison, because there are other things that need to be taken into consideration. Look at the vulnerability of the people, over in Cayman Brac, and there you have a community where you're trying to contain, and we successfully, to a certain extent, contained
let's take the most obvious thing.
There. Yes.
Let's take the most obvious thing,
Sure.
OC.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in West Bay and you want to go to East End, do you get on an aluminum tube to go to East End with 30 other people?
Right.
You don't.
Yes. Yeah,
you get in your car, you by yourself. If you want to wear a mask with yourself, you go right ahead. But you can do that safely. You're not exposing other people. To go to the Sister Islands, you have to get on an aluminum tube with a bunch of other people, including the flight crew, right? And we should be making sure, just like we do when you're traveling to the States or any other international destination, we should make sure that the people that are going back and forth are as much as possible free of COVID.
Yes.
Right?
And that's for vaxxed or
Right,
unvaccinated
and for
travelers.
clarity, what will come out tomorrow will be for vax.
And that's moving forward as well.
And it doesn't, the minister was talking, and she was absolutely right to focus on the weekend, because we know that's when there's a lot of travel that occurs in inter-island. But this is going to be going forward for the foreseeable future. There's a lot of talk about, is Omicron the end of the pandemic and all that. I don't know whether it's the beginning of the end or the end of the beginning, but COVID is going to be around for a good while more, right? Don't believe that is going to change, and these risks that Dr. Hazel was speaking about so passionately earlier, they're going to continue. And if we don't have our own people stop being selfish and be responsible and understand that they are a part of the solution, we all are a part of the solution, whether it's by going out and getting the vaccine, or whether it's by adhering to proper health protocols. We are a part of the solution. We're a part of the chain. We're a part of those line of matches that I talked about earlier.
Yes.
And we have to make sure that we are conscious of that and we're doing the responsible thing. Otherwise, we are possibly harming other people unnecessarily. No, I don't think people, if you ask them, you tell them you're a selfish person, they'll probably say no. But they in the moment they're only thinking about their own convenience. But that's not. We have to think about a collective. That is the way society has developed over the years. Human beings are gregarious. They come together. They come together for social purposes. They come historically they came together for defense. They look after each other. That is how we have come to be what we are, and we can't lose that now, because we've got a major challenge on our hands, a global pandemic on our hands, which is affecting us in Cayman, and we can't ignore it. We can't pretend because we live in a little paradise here that it's going to affect us less, or people are going to die less.
Yep.
Once you die, you die. That's final, right? And the same things that are causing deaths overseas are causing deaths here. Please, I beg people to be responsible, to be Cayman-kind, to care about each other, to care about our society, because the government is trying to balance lives and livelihoods, and we're trying to move responsibly in the direction of restoring some more degree of normalcy, but that is not going to happen properly unless we have people collaborating and cooperating with us. And I'm very upset to hear that, because of this announcement yesterday, there may be people who are releasing themselves and thinking, oh, that's it.
Yes.
I can just go. No, you can't.
Yeah.
And guess what? You're in breach of the regulations. You are either possibly going to get warned for prosecution and prosecuted, or you're going to get one of those really, really expensive $1,000 tickets that the police can give you. Right? And if people have $1,000 they can throw away left, right, and center,
They could stay home for a week.
Yeah, exactly. You don't need to go out nowhere if you can afford to do that.
Do we
but
know
it is
what
more than $1,000. It's thousands of lives possibly.
Exactly.
Yes,
Do we know what is driving this urge for people to want to be released either shorter in a shorter period of time, or what? Some of it has to do with the pressures of employment.
There are a lot of things, right?
Okay.
So we've moved from our traditional Cayman single family dwelling, and we've moved into apartment life. And you can imagine being isolated in a small 1-bedroom apartment. One of my nieces had to do it, and she was going crazy because it's 1 bedroom, a little, it's a nice apartment, but you're locked into this little space for 2 weeks. Now, Omicron isn't clearing as easily as Delta and Alpha cleared, right? We're getting longer and longer isolations. People are just not clearing Omicron as efficiently as some other variants, it appears. That's anecdotal from what we're observing. There's that. So there are the mental health impacts of that. There are the marital impacts of that. We've had people saying, you need to get one of us out of here or there's going to be murder. We cannot live in this closed space for so long. We're finding that people who have large yards are coping better. We're finding that people who have social support. I have family who will bring the groceries and hang them on the gate or drop them, that is helping. One thing that I think is almost like the elephant in the room is the fact that employers are not, and I understand the business implications of not having employees at work, but employers are putting a lot of pressure on people to come back. People have been terminated because they've been isolated. And so people need to feed their families. Some people have no income. The self-employed struggle because if they're not working, they're not earning. And often the self-employed or the handyman, the person who does odd jobs, that sort of thing, will have a large family that they need to support. So there's so many factors that are making it more difficult. Now, government has taken significant steps to support people. Unfortunately, many times, the people who need the support are not the ones who are requesting it. And the people who are requesting it are not the ones who need it. But it's a very, very complex situation. We really understand the implications of it. But when we weigh that, coming to Cayman Brac, for instance, if the one case in the Brac is the anaesthetist who has to intubate the patient who goes into respiratory distress, what are the implications for Cayman Brac? If the one case in the Brac is one of their operating room nurses and they get a trauma and they're only operating in that operating room with the surgeon and one OR nurse, what happens? What are the risks of that patient? I don't think we really take into consideration the broader risk. Caymanians, we have such a wonderful standard of living, quality of life, that these things that are hardships imposed upon us by COVID, we're really not coping very well with them.
You can't process it because we've never been in this position, and for years we've never gone through this before. So we have to adjust pretty much in real time. And yes, it's going to be uncomfortable.
It is uncomfortable.
But it's in order to do the right thing and saving our lives and keeping our community safe. But being very honest with you, I share your disappointment in us trying to do the right thing. I can remember us yesterday evening, Premier, in our meetings, and Mr. Connor, we reached out to you when we realized how important this drive-through testing and the numbers that we saw that it could have a positive impact on once they got their test of almost 2,000 people, thinking we were doing the right thing by getting the press release out, coming here this morning from 7:30. Thank you for giving us your entire show. And then people taking it upon themselves to release themselves, exposing yet again our community. Now, that's not something that it's not pointing the finger, but what more can we do?
That's true, yeah. People have to do their part. Ms. Susan, we're going to take that commercial break now. When we return, we'll be on the last leg of the show. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Thinking of getting a hybrid but don't know much about them? Vamp Motors has 3 great reasons why you should own the Toyota CHR. Hybrids save fuel, run cleaner, reduce CO2 emissions, and even recharge their batteries while being driven. So there's no need to plug in a hybrid, making it both economical and fun to drive. And you don't have to replace your battery every 2 years. The CHR hybrid is reliable, providing up to 1 million kilometers on the same battery and engine. Oh, and now you can save $2,000 off the Toyota CHR, starting at only $33,500.
That's way more than 3 reasons.
True, but the best one is that it's on sale now. Test drive the Toyota CHR today at Vamp Motors, Walkers Road, while stocks last.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab. Blood test, x-ray, and mammogram, all of that is MedLab. Affordable fees and friendly service, a full professional team. MedLab is always comfortable, MedLab is always clean. For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Call 949-7331 and ask about MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
Are you feeling sick, but don't feel ill enough to go to the doctor? Ask your pharmacist for advice. Here at West Bay Pharmacy, our pharmacists have been trained to offer helpful, easy-to-understand advice on the treatment of everyday minor ailments for yourself and all the family. Anything from headaches, cough and sore throat, to cold sores, our pharmacists will know when medical help is needed and will not hesitate to refer you to your doctor if your symptoms demand it. Like doctors, our pharmacists have a professional code, which means all personal information you give them will be treated in the strictest confidence. Visit us today at West Bay Pharmacy, where we care about your health.
Due to the high number of COVID cases in the community, Water Authority Cayman is encouraging customers to conduct as much business as possible online or over the phone and avoid coming into the office. Need to pay a bill? You can do it online. Just visit our website, www.waterauthority.ky, and click on the Pay My Bill button. Are you experiencing service issues? Contact our customer service team via the phone on 949-2837 or email info@waterauthority.ky. Don't forget to practice good hygiene by washing your hands frequently with soap and water. For updates from the Water Authority, visit our website, www.waterauthority.ky, and our social media pages.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We're on the last leg of the show this morning, and before I go around the table to give everyone an opportunity for some final comments and also to reiterate what is actually taking place today as well. We have a WhatsApp message that came in and says, thank you, Minister Turner, for finally seeing that all persons need to be tested to go to the BRAC and Little Cayman, as it is obvious the Vax folks are some of the biggest spreaders. I am all in favor of all being tested to try and protect these two or 3 islands, actually, these 3 islands as well. So seems as if there's at least support here for it, and I believe there will be more widespread support in terms of the decision that has been made with the BRAC. There probably will need to be some fine-tuning,
there is,
of it, but all of that.
The intent is in the right place. Yes.
And the more further details will come at tomorrow's press briefing as well. So we're going to start with Dr. Hazel Brown and go around the table for final comments. Dr. Brown.
Wow. Again, thank you, OC, for giving us this forum. I really, really appreciate it. I just want to reiterate our responsibility as citizens to look after each other, to protect each other. We need to know that the human rights as enshrined in our Constitution has a couple of caveats. The individual rights can be overridden, I can't come up with the right word, I'm sure you know the right word,
fine.
Mr. Premier, by the public health, I think it was public morality. There are 3 of them, if I remember correctly, but one is definitely
collective interest.
Yeah, well, basically, it is in the interest of the community. The individual's health, the individual's rights can be removed, and I think we need to keep this in mind. I am a proponent of individual rights, but I am also a public health professional, and I understand the implications of an irresponsible use of individual rights and its impact on the health of our nation. Dying from COVID is not an easy death. It is prolonged. It is difficult. It is difficult for the person who is dying. It is difficult for the family. And people need to understand that. It may only be 1 or 2, but it might be your granny.
Mm-hmm.
And it is hard. Those persons who have suffered through severe COVID with their family members who have passed on from it will tell you that it has been agonizing. When we see our children suffering from COVID, so our children don't have any protection unless we offer it. We need to take the COVID-19 pandemic seriously. It will be generations before we understand all of its implications. I am asking our people, everyone who hears me, to sit up, take interest, and take the necessary action to help us to protect the country. Those of you who are sitting on social media talking about public health's failure to do its job, come out. Go to the HSA website, contact us, jobs and training, and look for the volunteer registration form and register. Come out and register to help your country. Help us to make calls. Help us to do something. Use your time better than sitting on social media.
Yes.
Come out. Engage with the community. Let us work, all of us work together to protect these beautiful Cayman Islands from this pandemic.
Okay. Dr. Newton?
Well, I think to follow on from what Dr. Brown has just said is quite a difficult act now. What can I say? To me, is absolutely crucial to understand, that the public understands that this pandemic is not over. We don't want to flip between panic and total careless. We need to be still a bit careful because we don't know. We know that the Omicron, yes, it looks milder. However, it can still kill people. And above all, if people are not protected by the vaccine, if they have comorbidity, we don't understand yet, fully understand the impact of Omicron on children. Dr. Brown was mentioning a few recent cases we have had here, which if you think how small the population here, having just 1 or 2 cases of children ending up in hospital with quite severe complication, heart complications, is concerning, is certainly concerning. So we are hoping that, when the vaccine is going to be made available to all children between the age of 5 and 11, we will hope to have a big uptake of that. At the moment, what we can do is to make sure that anybody who is eligible for vaccination does take it up, and above all, people get the booster, because that is our best protection, alongside those social distancing, wearing the mask if you are inside, washing your hands. If you start sneezing or coughing or having any symptom suggestive of COVID, please don't go around. Isolate yourself. Take a ladder of flu. Doesn't cost anything. Is is common sense, because we really need to try, all of us, our best to contain the spread of the infection.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Newton. I almost say Dr. Turner, Minister Turner.
There we go again. I don't know if that's a preempt to what my future holds for me, but hey, I'm willing to take.
After all, this will have a good start.
Yeah, right,
yes, it is definitely. Yes, thank you, Mr. Connor, for allowing us this this platform this morning to definitely get the word out. As passionate and as profound as we all are in what we have shared and dispensed with our public today, that I hope that people really take this serious and understand that the role that we all hold around this table is critical. But what is of paramount importance is the health and safety of our people. But that cannot come to fruition unless we get the cooperation and respect by everyone who are living in our society. It's very easy, as Dr. Brown stated, to go on social media, pound up public health, pound up this government, and put politics in the mix of things. At the end of the day, we're all living here, and we are all going to be impacted by this. Yep. It is very easy to lead in this noble position. Lockdown. That is not even a word we want to hear of. So that is not where we're looking at. We're learning at. We're on this road to encourage boosters, because we see the data is there that backs it up, why it's important for those persons to get vaccinated, and definitely those who have gotten their 2 doses to get their booster, as Dr. Newton stated. And we see where that can be a positive impact. But most and foremost, if anything that is stated here today, I am begging for my Caymanian people to stop lying to ourselves. Mm-hmm. If you think we not gonna find you, we gonna find you. And if we don't find you from the enforcement arm, COVID will. So all of the thing about I not gonna test because they not gonna know, they're strapped for in the enforcement arm. You are doing damage to your own country. And if you're thinking we're going to get it under control with that type of mentality, you're certainly wrong. I am here, along with my colleagues and with the helping hands of public health, to do everything within our power to keep our country safe, open, and to actually sensitize our people and educate them about this. Please, please adhere to the social distancing. Please adhere to the public health protocols. And for all of you who took it upon yourself last night to release yourself from quarantine or isolation, make your way down to the Truman Bodden Sports Complex and get tested.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Premier, you have the final word, sir.
Thank you, O.C. Appreciate the opportunity, as always. Always a pleasure to be here with you. I want to start by thanking our colleagues from public health who work so hard, and none are better represented or better representative of that effort and those individuals in public health than Dr. Hazel.
Yes.
She is a Caymanian with a heart of gold.
A warrior.
And she is a warrior, and she will tell you the truth.
Yes.
And they know, as we always would say, they know skinning up about it. Right?
No.
So I appreciate her honesty, I appreciate her sincerity, I appreciate her care and her effort. And Dr. Autilia has recently joined us, but similarly, she is a lady with a huge heart who has an immense amount of experience in this area, and we welcome her. She is a different person from Dr. Lee, but she is no less capable. And I don't know, maybe she probably has even more experience than he did. And she is a phenomenal lady, and we really, really appreciate the experience she has and the advice that she gives us on the basis of that experience.
It's a pleasure.
And the Cayman Islands will be better off for having her here, however long we have her here for.
We might keep her.
Yeah, we might. I want to thank my colleague, Mr. Turner, Dr. Turner,
Speak it into existence.
for being equally passionate. And She's doing a great job as the minister, and this is something we talk about these things every day, sometimes 3-4 times a day, because this is the moment. These are the issues that we have to be concerned about, along with everything else that we have to get done. We have to be, because it's central to the health of our people, and it's central to the health of our economy too, right? And if the economy suffers too much, then our people end up suffering. Their health suffers too, right? Their mental health suffers too. So all of these things, we're trying to get the balance right, and we need people to cooperate with us. We need the people of the country to recognize that these are issues that are real. They're not going away. Yes, everybody's going to face a little bit of inconvenience here and there. And I also want to, on that point, I also want to say to the business owners, we understand your needs too. We understand the problems that occur when you have staff that are out sick. But rather than just telling people, hey, if you don't show up to work, you're not getting paid, and then forcing them to come out and interact with people when they're positive, rather than doing that, try talk to us. Come and have a conversation. I mean, if you really have a problem, if you really we have programs where we can help businesses, small businesses in particular, but we all, businesses, the business community, the individuals that are that have COVID, the individuals that thankfully don't have it, we all have to work together collectively for the benefit of the entire country, for the benefit of those elderly people that are vulnerable, for the benefit of those children that can't get vaccines just yet, but we're working very hard to resolve that. All of these things, we have to work together collectively for the benefit of the entire country, for the benefit of all of our community. Community builds country. That has been my tagline from my campaign, and I fundamentally believe that it is, as my old law lecturer used to say, it is indubitably so. Right? There's no doubt about it. And you can't have community unless you show it, unless you act it, unless you believe it, unless you exemplify it. So this is what we're here. We are trying to help. We are trying to put in place the rules and the processes, the procedures to help our entire country. It is not going to be perfect for everybody, and we listen, we respond, and when the time is right, when we think the time is right, based on the advice that we've been given, we are moving in the direction to address some of the issues. We've talked about some of the things today. I've indicated to you that we're going to have a press conference tomorrow. So we're making decisions today, which we will be communicating tomorrow, and I believe people will generally be happier in terms of where we come out. I'm not going to say everybody's going to be happy, but we have to acknowledge that there have to be some accommodations. There has to be timing issues that work right, and we are always going to rely on. We're always going to protect public health, protect our hospital system, because if that collapses, we have no help, right? We have no help.
Okay.
And we're always going to rely on the advice of our chief medical officer and our medical officer of health at Public Health, and they're fantastic people like Dr. Hazel.
Experts,
and we are not going to just inject politics into this like so many other countries have done and had disastrous consequences.
There's no room
right?
for
So
it.
please, people, bear with us. Let's work together. Let's make this happen for Cayman.
Very quickly, somebody suggested that they believe that it be a good idea to go back to the using the alphabet system, last name for businesses
shopping.
again, for supermarkets and stuff like that. Of course, you have pointed out that those are the things that you really don't want to have to resort to again. That was for time and for purpose, at this point in time. But I want to thank all of you for being here, and of course, the time for the press briefing tomorrow will be announced.
It will be announced. I'm not sure whether it's going to be 2 or 3, but probably 3.
So, folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman and, by extension, For the Record, into your homes, into your vehicles, as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, wherever that may be. I also want to remind you that we are our brothers and our sisters' keepers. There is always someone out there who's less fortunate than we are, and I ask you to extend a helping hand to them. If you can't do that, then I suggest you donate to a worthy charity, because we always want to consider those who need, not necessarily those who want or even those who crave. So I say to you, have a great day. Continue to support your radio station, Radio Cayman. Join Sterling Drainey Banks at 12:15 for Talk Today. And as usual, we ask the good Lord to bless these 3 beautiful, wonderful Cayman Islands.
For the Record is brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Coca-Cola, available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Brand Source Home Gallery, inspiring luxury. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. West Bay Pharmacy, taking care of your health. And RF Group, money at work.
Satisfaction is guaranteed 24 hours a day, whether it's music or information.
From Grand Cayman to Cayman Brac to Little Cayman, we've got you covered.
You ever hear a thing like that?